If we get a surprise with the abatement numbers becoming too high and making this project more financially strapped, we would think twice about it, but, so I thought we said it's a go with the
Okay.
earnest money and then having the ability to back out if we
Well,
did.
I'm sorry I put the brakes on it. I just
No,
told
don't worry,
her.
it's fine.
No, I think it's good.
As
I just
long as-
didn't know it got voted on, so I didn't want to break any rules.
No, we don't wanna do that. Somebody said, well, who decided? Well, so we'll have it on the agenda. Let's have it on the agenda next week.
Yeah.
But it's, what we're trying to do is the sooner we do that, the sooner we mitigate that risk of somebody buying those lots.
Right. Okay, and they are excited to accept it. I just didn't wanna, I wanted to be sure. I didn't know you guys had voted on it, so, I asked Bonnie to put it on.
Well, I don't know if
the agenda.
officially we did. I know we talked about it, but I think it was last week during this meeting when we talked about it. So we'll see.
Okay. All right, well, that new grant, that I mentioned last week, I have a call into them, I just hadn't heard back to be sure we're eligible and to see. It's a loan and a grant program, it's for, it's called ORE, it's, Opportunities for Rural Economies. And
Okay.
it seems by the paperwork like we're eligible, but I just really wanna talk to somebody before I invest any funds and applying for the app.
Who administers it?
Department of Commerce, their business office, so like their loan office administers it, so I really wanna find out. They didn't say
Sure.
anything in their specs about how they decide loan versus grant,
Or
and
maybe it's loans that get forgiven.
there is a forgiveness element, so maybe that's what it
So it's
is.
very similar to CBDG. Yeah,
Oh,
let's
the
look it
one.
over. Yeah.
So as soon as I find that, as soon as I hear back from them, I'll let you know. Let's see, let me stick on weird stuff. Northwest Energy, he did call me back today finally, and, he's coming Tuesday to meet with me to look at whether to put the meter on a pole or on the building. Like we're gonna talk about what work we're actually doing, see where it's safest
For
to
the
be.
temporary power.
Right, for temporary power, which will enable the dehumidifiers or whatever solution or all the work that's
Yeah.
about to happen. He said if we have to put it on the building, there'll be it can go underground, but it would be expensive. It would cost about $2,000. It can go for almost free or possibly free. If he mounts it on the building, there'll be an overhead line to the meter, or we would have to pay to have a post installed, depending on what construction's happening and where we end up placing it. We'd have to have a post installed, and then they put the meter on the post, and it would cost us just the installation of the post.
Okay.
So I'll let you know next week where they decide, but.
And will John be providing input on that? I mean, it's basically, they're putting it there for a contractor to use, so he might have an idea.
Of
John or Roger
where to
might-
place it?
Yeah, where it would best serve him.
Well, I think it has to come from the alley, but I'll
I'm
find
sure,
out.
yeah, I mean, if they got the job, that's the first thing they do is they coordinate with the power company for temporary power.
Okay, and then the water, I talked to the city, and, Clint came out with the city, and he's like, I don't wanna turn this on to the plumber. I talked to you guys about this a little bit. So the plumber replaces the pipe, so I have a call into our plumber to do the 1-inch, pipe, and then put the meter on, and then he said he could have water within a couple of days,
Okay?
so.
And, we're not backed up wanting water, but this is all stuff so that doesn't become a driver before they start.
Yeah, because hazmat will need that.
Yep.
They'll need water, and John will need it evidently. I'm working with MDOT to find out they didn't have an official decision on where the right of way is on the sidewalk for just that block, which was funny. So evidently they're gonna recommend that we wanna put the fencing on the right of way, but they have to tell me where that is.
Does that mean completely shut the sidewalk off and be on the street?
We could if we wanted to, but John doesn't feel like we need to do that.
Okay, so you maybe take up one walkway lane or something?
The right of way will be the division between what is associated with the building as far as ownership and what's the highway
Okay,
department's.
okay,
So they'll define that, they'll tell us exactly how many inches from the curb that it is, and then we can put the fence on that.
okay,
If we wanted to close the sidewalk all the way, he said it's not a problem, it just requires an application and approval and blah, blah, blah. But John said he doesn't want it, so
okay.
we'll just, and then I'll submit the building permit as soon as High Plains gets me the stamped approval. It's ready to go. And I have worked with the building inspector who manages that whole department, and he's given me instruction on how to word everything. We're gonna do one building permit. John's given me a estimate on the overall cost of structural repair and the new roof. And it's a conservative, it's a liberal estimate, it's like the lowball estimate, but he said it could happen. And
Yeah, so you're not paying huge permit fees.
yeah, and that's what the inspector told me to do. He's
Okay.
like, you have to answer that question based on what you know right now. And we haven't designed the roof, we haven't done destructive assessment, so we have to just use the square footage
Okay,
number.
have you shared, do you wanna share those with us, well, we'll see it in your
Well,
plan.
he said $500,000 is what he said,
For the structure?
both.
Okay,
for
very good,
both.
okay,
Because he said, the only thing I can tell you right now is, a fair cost for roofing is $10 per square foot. You got 11,000 foot building, or 11,000 square foot building, say 150 for the roof and say 350. He feels like he's got his number down to 360, so don't quote him, but he hasn't crunched the numbers based on what Jim tells him Tuesday. So,
okay, well, that's in line with everything we've talked about, that's maybe sort of and that's, okay.
it's
that's
probably
good.
the lowball number, but it's
Listen,
still.
I've got higher numbers plugged in mine.
But we were doing that to be
Yeah,
conservative,
yeah.
so and that's the way, honestly, the building inspector advised me to. He says,
Okay.
you have to give me a number based on what you know right now, and that's what John, as our contractor, gave me. That came straight from John. Busy Bee, I talked to Greg, and Greg called me, he's like, let me drive around town, let me look at all the different locations you've mentioned, and so, Greg did our art that's on top of the kiosk. Greg did the art that's at all of our entrances that says welcome to Roundup.
Okay.
So those are all projects he's had his hand in. And then, he did ask me, cause I didn't mention the current site, he said, well, what's going on at the Busy Bee site? And I said, I don't know for sure, but I think it's gonna be demoed, is that correct?
Yes, yep.
And then what's gonna happen after it's demoed? Do they
Well,
reclaim
it's
it?
it's a green space, it's space just like Bear Collins,
Okay, green space,
but I think there's a plan to give it to the city or eventually.
Make it into a park, they're talking about.
green space and into a park?
They'll be able to have farmer's market
Yeah.
down in that area.
Yeah,
In farmer's market? And how much of a space is there actually? That's what Greg asked. Is it the whole parking lot?
I mean, does
Is
it
it
go
just
all the
the
way over to
building?
the, does it go all the way over to that coffee shop, or where's it go,
Do y'all know?
It's gotta be 6 lots, I would guess.
does he own the lot across the street? No, he doesn't, does he? No, he doesn't.
So it's the land too, so it's the parking lot and the building. Okay.
Yep.
He's thinking about that as an artist. And so what,
Oh, really?
yeah, as an artist, I'm like, cause I was like, I'm calling you for an artistic, because you said, would he do some sketches of the
Yes.
plaza? And, he called me back and he said, Teresa, I drove around and he said, artistically and for our community, this is Greg's opinion, he said, I really feel like if we did some kind of memorial at the site where it is and made it really, and he's gonna donate a sketch for us.
Okay,
He's gonna draw something up, and it's just gonna be a sketch, it's not gonna be a painting or anything, but it'll be a sketch of what he's considering. And then I told him what, one of the ideas that one of y'all shared with me of having it on a pole with the historic flood line and then having,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, information, having it be a historic marker. And, he said, oh, that's sorta in line with what I'm thinking anyway. And then if it was a park or a market or something, he said, are they still gonna use it like it's used now with the market? I'm like, I don't know, we don't know. But, so I think he's gonna draw up something like that.
okay.
So he said he's willing to donate a sketch and sort of help us envision, and that's where he thought it would fit. Most.
The only reason I didn't like it down there is because I didn't think it would be as visible as maybe some other spots, but it's not my call.
Well, so I told him that, so I tried to share everything that I've heard from everybody without biasing him, I just said, well, here's some thoughts. And,
Yes.
but I forgot to even mention that, and then when he brought it up, I shared with him that,
Okay.
and then I told him your concern. And he said, well, no, I'm thinking put it like right where it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Like where it would be, people don't miss that when they drive in.
Yeah, that serves the function. I mean, the idea is, yeah, that's great. But you've got his input
Right.
where he said, look, I looked around and,
Right.
and remember, if that becomes the cities, well,
Right,
it depends on when, but if it's the counties, we could probably make that decision. But if it becomes the cities, it's the city's decision whether
That's
they're gonna
right.
put that up there or not.
Oh, okay, so this may not even be in the
Well,
county's
I
court.
suppose we own it, we could put it up before we donated it to the city.
that's true.
Is
It's a
there-
timing element,
Is there a way during the reclamation that we could coordinate with, is it FEMA that's doing the reclamation?
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, there's probably a chance that if you are gonna keep it down there, based on what you described, they might even pay for it as part of the grant that got rid of the building.
Mhm.
So, it's not a bad
If
idea.
I know Greg, he's gonna have that to us in a week or two.
So, but, and then as far as the city thing, it'd be great to get their buy-in, though. I mean,
Of course.
if we're gonna wind up giving it to them. I think the idea is, why would we give it to the city? It's because we wouldn't wanna maintain it.
Exactly.
But, okay, but I
Then we
might
wouldn't-
challenge that. I mean,
And we won't get those nasty letters from Bruce.
yeah, but I mean, okay.
We have 4 lots down there we had to give to them yet too. They haven't been clamoring for them.
I'm always a little reluctant to give property up,
Yeah.
but if there's a good reason, you bet.
Well, I'll just pass that back along, cause that's what I had promised I would do, is check in with him and then go to the city, right? So
Yeah.
right now, we'll just wait and get his sketch back and then see
Yeah.
what y'all think of that? Does that
That's
sound like
probably
a
a
good
good idea.
plan?
That'll work.
We got time.
Okay.
It won't be.
But the mayor's on your Roundup Community Partners.
It'll be next summer.
And the mayor was really against putting it at the plaza, she really spoke strongly against
Okay.
putting it at the plaza, she feels like it's too crowded. She
Right.
mentioned the Rotary Park, but she says whatever you get approved, it has to go through the council, cause that's all city property.
Mhm.
But that's sort of why I said, well, let's get Greg's perspective, cause Greg was involved on all of those, and I really feel like having an artistic perspective will help us know that kind of, is it gonna look good there? I can't tell you that, I don't have an opinion there, cause
You
I'm
don't
just,
have that kind of vision?
I don't. If you'll go hold the horse there and let me look at it and tell you to move it left and right, I'll give you my opinion. It's about the only way I can work with it.
No, that's good.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll come up with a solution. And now that, you got that input from your artist, you bet. My guess is we might be able to get it paid for. It'd be even better to get the city to buy into it.
I still think the default position will be down at the fairgrounds.
Nobody's looked at that, but the only problem there is it's not visible.
I know. I
But,
should go to the fair.
maybe it would add some ambiance
I
down there
didn't
that
think of
would
that,
outweigh
and
that.
I didn't mention that to him either.
You know what, I kinda like that idea. I think that's.
Well,
a
and
good
what
idea.
Greg's presenting could go at the fairgrounds,
Yeah,
but we'd have to pay for it then.
yeah,
FEMA
but
wouldn't pay for it.
it's kind of a, I don't think it's a huge investment. And it's an icon, we're not gonna lose that icon, I mean, we don't wanna lose that thing.
Okay, all right, I think that's all I had. I'm sure there'll be more
Well,
things
good
on
work,
this.
there's a lot happening,
Oh,
but
my
we're moving
goodness.
forward, you know, I saw Mike's email on the soil and I went, oh God, that's all we need is a big, but now I'm not that worried about it.
Well, really, what was really nice was to see our team sort of come around us. When Jim talked to me, I mean, Jim probably called me 4 times this week, you guys, cause he was like, okay, I know we're on a budget.
He's thinking all the time.
And there's no reason why we'd have to like have all this for permanent, sure, you know. So it's what's neat is he called John to come to Billings Monday and work with him and Emery, and so I just think it's verification we have a good team in place.
Yeah, that's, like I said, they're working together, you know, as
Mhm.
opposed to, I don't need to talk to John, or, you know, that's excellent.
And they're working together,
Collaborating.
they're working together very respectfully, which is such a wonderful thing to see now.
It is, it's a good deal.
Yeah, thank you guys,
All right, thank you,
yeah.
appreciate it.
You'll
I'm
be
not hearing
having
anything important, I just here to give some money to Mike.
Oh, you could've just,
shit.
I thought you were here to make comment,
This is for
make a
Brian.
complaint.
I don't know what
No,
they're
real
planning
fair.
for Rotary Park, but they cannot change that, it was given to them by the Rotary Club that it stayed the way it is. So
Stays the
before
way
they
it
make
is.
before they make any changes now.
Well, that's
Well, we're
fine.
gonna leave the park, we're just gonna put
We
a horse
really
over it.
appreciate it.
You're welcome. This, I wanna tell you about this one. I just got $150 in cash from a guy in Sammamish, Washington, has been listening to our radio station for over 10 years, and I get a letter and stuff from him every once in a while. He heard us talking about it on the radio, wanted to give him $150.
Really?
So, yeah, pretty much. I wish he'd have sent me money, but no.
No, of course not.
Well, thank you.
So, all right, well, thank you.
You guys are busy.
You have no public comment?
Yep, see ya.
All right, you don't have any public comment, any
Keep up the good work.
Get that for the record.
I think down by a radio station, I think it'd be good for the.
There you go.
Good PR.
That's
You
next.
could be on there every day.
All right, okay.
I'll make you a deal.
We'll put it on the agenda.
Okay, see ya.
Hi, Bill.
So I just got a call, she's gonna call back, from somebody at Mako, but it's,
Harley,
who?
Harley.
From Mako?
Harley King,
I guess, I don't know, I didn't know who it was, so I
we've been trying to communicate. She was gonna either be on public comment or call.
she's gonna call back at 3 o'clock, so,
Okay, well then we'll just pipe her through, we'll keep this open.
yeah.
And I'm gonna do the first 2 public comment ones. I'm gonna say, we are now open for public well, no, we're not. We've got 15 minutes.
20 seconds.
Have you seen the emails flying between Ron and,
Yeah,
oh
it's
gosh,
Sean.
John?
Mhm.
Oh, that'd be perfect for that whole office.
I don't know what to do about that.
I think that could work. I think you could get 4 or 5
Blessed are the peacemakers.
You can do it now.
All right. We are now open for public comment on any public matter within the jurisdiction of the commission that is not on the agenda. Is there any public comment for any public matter within the jurisdiction of the commission that is not on the agenda? And then I'm gonna hold off on the last to give, is it Carly? Or what's her name?
Harley.
Carly a chance to give us a call to talk about, what was she gonna talk to us about?
Harley King about the IT.
IT, okay.
She's the IT manager for Mako. We're gonna look at getting a bid from them.
Do you have a copy, Montague, of our agreement with Morse Northern?
Yeah, she'd like to know how many stations we got, how many, I don't know. I have no idea.
So-
Want me to try to run and get it real fast?
if it's really handy, because if you can't, that's fine. We'll maybe set up another more detailed discussion with you.
Are we kidding? So how many servers, workstation, Microsoft license, firewall switches, and wireless access points do we have? Have any idea?
I think that's all in the agreement we have with Morris and Marty.
I would guess.
Merrily.
Yeah, if you have a current amount of each of the following list below would be very helpful. Yeah, we had it. That's our agreement with Morris and Merrily. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, do we got public comment? How's it going there, Ken? Can you hear us?
I just called to wish you and your family the happy and blessed Easter.
Oh,
Well,
well, thank
you
you.
too, thank you. You don't have a complaint?
No complaining as of yet.
All right. Somebody else joined us. Do you have public comment? Looked like it was a B.
Mhm. I don't know. Let's see through.
Looks like it's Bob. Bob? Can you hear us?
I sent them to you.
Okay, very good. We have Ken, we have Bob. But Bob is, apparently can't hear us, or he's not wanting to respond.
We can hear something, but
Yes. Muscle County.
Hello.
Hello, this is Carly Senior MCP. How are you?
Doing fine. Got you on speakerphone. And all three of us commissioners are here, so I was
Perfect.
trying to get a list together of all the stuff we have, but so far I haven't got it done.
Of what?
Servers, workstations.
I just sent you the contract for Morris and Merrill. I said M&M contract.
Where did it go?
I
didn't
sent
get yet. I
it
haven't
to
gotten
you.
it yet. We're still.
So, how we doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, we're surviving, but just barely. So,
Oh, good. Good.
now we're just looking into maybe changing IT managers. I don't know.
Okay.
We're contracted with Morris and Merrily now, but
Okay.
we thought we'd check around, since I talked to Ross Butcher a while back, so.
Okay.
He recommended you, so.
Oh, I don't know about that. Do I be taking recommendations from Rob?
Sorry I brought it up.
That's okay. I did have a couple questions.
Okay.
How many employees do you guys have over there in the county?
56.
Yeah, about 56.
About 56.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get it yet?
Sounds good.
I'm sure you sent it.
Yeah, we're pulling up Morris and Merrily's contract, but we haven't got it up yet, but and they'll probably tell us how many servers we got and whatever, so.
Okay.
But
And the types
I
of
also-
services. Go ahead.
I also have, my engineer on the phone. So what we do here at Mako is we do tier 1 and tier 2 support in-house at Mako, and then we escalate any, tier 3 support up to a tier 3 vendor support where they do networking. And so that's kind of the cool part about Mako is we can cater, any technology support to county specifically, and so I know he has a couple questions, so I'll let him kind of unmute his mic and see if he has anything specifically to ask. I know it's kind of hard without a contract, or I guess specifically to understand how the county is set up, but
Right.
he might have a couple leading questions.
We might actually, I'm now looking at a monthly service, well, this is onboarding, but it quantifies certain things that might be helpful to us.
Yeah, of course.
So, I'm just gonna share this with you, and then you guys can ask your questions, cause it's not that much.
That's perfect.
There's proactive managed workstations, moving MDTs to proactive support for cost savings as only the emotional is really used. I don't know what that means, but there's 7 of those. There's 1 vulnerability scan with remediation of events. There's 45 fully managed workstations. There's 4 fully managed server VM. There's fully managed server physical host 2. There's managed backup 1. There's duo multi-service, multi-factor service, 9 active seats, 13. And then there's this FWAAS listed below are the new or existing devices, 2. All right, and then there's Premium Plus, email security, included cloud-to-cloud backup, 53 of those. There's 53 social engineering end user testing. There's 1 Verkada service solution requires Verkada monitoring agreement. I think that might be cameras or something. And that's it. I don't know if any of that made sense, but it might give you a feel for what we got going on.
Okay.
That is very helpful.
Good.
Sorry to cut you off there, Carly.
No,
Good
okay.
to meet all you commissioners. Happy to be able to visit with you, and that's very helpful information to have. Just one piece of clarification. Did you say V motion?
No, let me
Like
see.
V as in Victor?
Yeah, which one was it? Okay, so I'm looking
the
at
motion,
fully managed, listed below,
VM,
VM, I
fully
think,
managed server VM.
VM, I think is
Okay.
voicemail, I'm assuming, I don't know, Ambulance, Visions, WatchGuard, and multi-LASPR app.
Okay. Yeah, that all makes sense. I just want to clarify the V motion piece. That is actually a product, or a service, I should say, or a feature of
Okay.
virtual machines. So I just wanted to make confirmation on that. But yeah, that makes total sense.
Tyler,
That is a pretty straightforward invoice there, so that's good. And I think that that gives us a pretty decent insight into what the county's got going on and what services are currently being provided.
Okay.
One other clarification on the FWAAS line item. There's quantity 2 on that,
Yep,
I believe is what.
and it
Okay.
says existing
And so that-
TZ 370 and 500 underneath it.
Okay. Yeah, so that makes sense there. So that would lead me to believe that those firewalls are being provided to the county on a monthly basis, and they are not owned by the county.
Okay,
So that's common, so that's okay. I just wanna make sure I had the quantity correct. Do they specify a service address for the TZ 350 and the TZ 500?
No, I'm not seeing that.
I assume one may be the courthouse, and then you have another auxiliary building, or maybe is the sheriff's